Just a quick reminder, if anybody has their cell with them, to make sure you have the volume turned off, or down or off, please. At this time, we'd like to welcome our team from Whitman College in Walla Walla, Washington. Head coach Michelle Furrens, along with seniors Sarah Andreg, Megan White, and junior Heather Johns. And let's start off, Coach, if you would. Obviously an outstanding season.
Yep.
Give us a little insight on the road to get to the Final Four.
Well, this is the best season in Whitman history, women's basketball history, and in the history of the college for team sports. So breaking new ground. Probably started last year when we got our first bid into the tournament, and it was a new experience. And needless to say, we embraced it, got to the Elite Eight. So had a lot of these. Obviously, had all these young women back who all started for us last year, and so this group really set their sights on getting to the Final Four. I mean, this has been a goal all along, and worked very hard, and dealt with expectations all season, which we didn't handle as well last year as we did this year. These young women have really handled the expectations and the attention, and I'm very excited to be here, and needless to say, so not easy to get out of the Northwest Conference. So as you guys that follow D3 women's basketball know that we're out there on the frontier, but it's a very high level of basketball. So just getting out of our conference is an accomplishment. So we feel pretty good about that. So.
I guess first of all, talk about how last year's trip got to the Elite Eight. What did you kind of learn from that experience, and how that kind of helped you guys this year and this year's run, I guess?
From a coaching perspective, I think the thing that I learned, or at least was an easy lesson to teach, is we've always talked about how good our conference is. If you can compete in our conference, you can compete on a national level. And we finished second, ended up having, we went to Lewis and Clark, and who was our conference champion last year, and beat them, their place in the NCAAs. I think these guys have started to understand how good our conference is, the level they have to play at every night, and how that translates on when you don't have to play your conference. When you get out and play on a national level, we can compete, and I think we gained a lot of confidence going into this season by our success last season. Obviously, we went all the way to Williamstown and played at Williams College and against a home team, a senior laden team, and it was a very tough challenge, but I thought our kids played great and came into the season excited. Came into the season with high goals for themselves, and have worked hard to maintain that. So.
Also, our motto this year was actually win the day, and that was spawned from our experience at the Elite Eight, and we got the first taste of being in this tournament, and we came back this year completely focused on returning here and making it to the Final Four. And all of our teammates have been dedicated since day one, even during the summer, working as hard as we can to get better individually and as a team, and it's really been a great experience, and we've taken each game separately, and each one has been important to us. So it's been such a great ride so far, and it's great being here.
For people that may not be familiar with your team, what can they expect in terms of your style, your philosophy? What will we see?
I'll start that, because then they're probably afraid to say it. What will Coach want us to say? But to be honest, I think what you'll see is we're pretty disciplined defensively. Pride ourselves on playing a good, solid team concept on defense, play a lot of man. We're a team that doesn't pressure in the full court a whole lot, but we do pressure in the half court. Good rebounding team, offensive execution. We work our offensive execution to the strength of our players, and try to use what our players can do well. But we also really focus on moving the ball and executing. I have smart kids, like a lot of Division III schools. I have smart players, and so we ask them to be to run things well, and so I think you'll see that. I think one thing too is our kids play very hard, like all the teams here. I don't think you get here without really being a team that just puts it out there every night, and these kids would definitely do that. So they probably have some things to add, but I'll get them started.
I'll say that I think we pride ourselves as a team on playing together and sharing the ball and making sure that we're getting the best possible shot, and it doesn't matter who's taking that. And that's what I noticed as a player.
Yeah, I don't think we play. We're not scared. We might not have as much experience in this situation as some of the other veteran teams who are here. Last weekend we went up against Thomas More, and they are a great team with some great individual players, and we don't play scared. We're here to win. We're here to play 100%. And so no matter what's happening on the court, no matter what situation we're put in, we're here to play hard. We're here to play 110%, leave everything on the court, and whatever's thrown at us, we will face it with confidence. And
Can you talk a little bit about the confidence you gained from playing the Thomas More? I know they were ranked in some polls number one. Kind of how do you guys springboard off of that win coming into this a little bit?
Well, we had never hosted. You know, Whitman got to we got to host those first the regional, and ended up playing Whitworth, our conference rivals, to get out of there, and then to get to host a sectional was amazing. You know, we weren't sure how that was all going to go. We've never hosted. It's been and I think it's been like 10 years since the Northwest Conference has hosted a sectional, but it was blast. Great turnout, packed our place. So I think the atmosphere was really cool. Obviously, we didn't know much. We had teams from all over the nation. Christopher Newport from Virginia. I'm not going to cross paths with many teams that we could pick common opponents. And again, you know, and Thomas More, who obviously hadn't lost at that point. So a lot of mystery, and you don't really know till you see a team. I mean, you can watch film, and until you really see a team in person, it's hard to gauge how you're going to match up. And I would say that probably the two things that struck me on film about Thomas More was, you know, their overall speed, and their ability to score in a hurry. They could put up big numbers really quickly, and so that had us worried. You know, we talked to the girls about, you know, they're going to score and they're going to make their runs, and you have to find a way to minimize it and make runs of your own. And that was the same as Christopher Newport. Wow, they athletic guards, big center. But I thought our kids really executed game plans really well. And I thought too, once we got out on the court, I think athletically and foot speed wise, we definitely matched up. I would say we definitely, you know, it was good to finally get on the court with them. But no, obviously, as you guys know, those are, I mean, Thomas great teams. So, and City Moss great players. So, and they have other weapons. They're not just her. I mean, well coached and some very athletic guards. So, yeah, we had our hands full. But we made a nice run in the second half to separate ourselves, and that's what it really came down to. We gave, after Sydney got hurt, I think it was put everybody into a tailspin. I think we were feeling it, they were feeling it. It's always hard to watch a player go down, you know. And so, halftime, I think we just regained our composure, and came out and made a great run defensively, offensively, put some distance. And so they kept coming back though, and it was a very physical game, and I was really proud of our kids kept their composure.
For us, it was the first time we've played an East Coast team this year as well, and so that's always interesting to get to see. Like Coach talks about, our conference, we generally think of it as pretty strong, but you never know how you match up with other players who are getting recognition and who are doing well and putting up big numbers. And so I think that was important for us to see that we are on the same level as them. And they're fast, but we're fast too. You know, they have good shooters, but we have good shooters too. And so I think that confidence coming into this weekend is huge.
Also, we held them to 22 points at halftime, and they score over 95 points.
I wrote the scouting report, it was 95. It's pretty impressive.
And we followed the defensive plan the entire game, and I feel like our offense really got confidence from our defense, and that really translated into the final score of both games. And it always helps to have the Wall community at your side too, and they're cheering for us the whole game. You couldn't hear Coach in our timeouts. We had to get really close to Coach. But it was really exciting games, and really I think it will prepare us for this weekend.
tough competition.
Speaking of this weekend, then, if we could, moving to who's immediately before you is UW Whitewater. When you look at film, what do you see as your challenge ahead of you in your first game? And do they remind you of anybody that you've played?
I've watched all the film. These guys have gotten a little bit so far. More to watch tonight. But obviously very good. I think they also come out of a very good conference. I think this conference is, a very deep conference for women's basketball, so they know how to compete. They play a lot of quality teams, so in that way, I think we're very similar. I don't know. I mean, you always try to, at this point in the year, you can always draw comparisons. I'm not sure they play exactly a style that we see in our conference. Nobody quite plays their offensive scheme, but or defensive scheme. But they definitely, I think we match up pretty well at certain spots, but I think we have some other matchup issues, which hopefully translate to them as well. I hope they're thinking the same thing. But in terms of, I think they're a physical, strong team, like to put the ball on the floor, and that reminds me a little bit of George Fox. In terms of length and size, and so obviously we've seen a lot of Fox. So. But again, I think it's hard. I mean, I think that's one thing that this team has done well this year that we weren't really for last year, is you always in a tournament, you don't know a team as well, you have to be ready to adjust. And our kids did a great job of adjusting last weekend. When teams came back, they adjusted, and I think there'll be an adjustment, I think, as ready as we get for Whitewater. We're obviously gonna underestimate them or overestimate them in certain areas, and we're going to have to adjust, and hopefully we force them to do the same. So, but they're good, and they got size. They've got a great guard in Merg, a great point guard in Phil, and so it's going to be a battle. So,
statistics-wise, we noticed that they have quite a few people scoring in double figures towards the lower end, like 11, 12. So I guess that just shows that they have multiple people who are able to score, and that we need to do them up. And they obviously share the ball pretty well, so that means they have more than one person. They don't have an all-star. They have 5 all-stars who just all play really well together. So it'll take a team defensive effort. With that said, the conference that they play in might adhere to their numbers a lot more. Like, we learned that when we played Thomas More, like the conferences that you play in may or may not inflate or deflate the statistical numbers that you have. So we kind of have to take what we see on paper with a grain of salt, and make adjustments in the first 5 minutes of the game. Like Coach said, that's something that's going to be really key to our success.
You can only scout a team so much, and really, like they said, it comes down to that first 5 minutes trying to figure out who's who and kind of what's the flow of the game.
You lost your conference championship game. I guess for the players and the coach. What's the biggest thing that came out of that loss? I don't know if it's a refocus going into NCAAs, or what's the biggest thing you think you gained from that loss?
Well, Whitworth was playing great basketball down the stretch. We had played them 2 weeks prior to that at their place and handed them a pretty significant loss. And not that they played poorly, but we played really well. And it kind of set them back. They dropped a game to Lewis and Clark that they probably shouldn't have. But they came into our place needing that win, really to solidify their going to the tournament. And they played great, and they have some. They're a tough matchup. They're very much a 5-guard type of offense, great shooters. And so for us, it's a matchup issue sometimes. But to be honest, I think the thing we learned, and the girls can speak this too, but I think, this is a time of year you can't play not to lose. And I think we went into our conference championship with, we knew we were in to the tournament. We built the resume. We've been number 1 in the West, and so we felt really good about that. So that wasn't hanging over our heads, and so it was about winning a conference title. In terms of our tournament title, we'd already won the regular season title. So I think their motivation was a little higher than ours, and we didn't play poorly. We lost by 3, and really the difference came down to the free throw line, and it came down to little things. And I think that's a huge lesson to be reminded of, especially at this point in the year, little things really matter. And games will be won and lost by little things. So I think that was a huge lesson that we definitely carried into. We had to play, and then we turn around and play them the next Saturday in the NCAA tournament. So I definitely think we had a different mindset when we saw them in the tournament. So.
After that game, there was a real focus on, as Coach said, the little things of hustling after every ball and making sure that we boxed out on every play. And really, we showed that in Chapman the next game, and it really pumped us up for the tournament, because then we knew that these games were the games that we worked all this time for, and that there's no excuses anymore. And we really played as a team the rest of the tournament so far. So I think it really helped us going into the tournament to refocus and see why we're here and what we need to do to win. So.
And there, in our tournament game against Whitwater was it was a tough game too. So we, 4 very tough games against a conference rival who's good conference rival. They're a good team. So.
Anybody else?
Just one last question, I guess, for Sarah and Megan. Speaking for the senior class, I guess, how special is it to end your career with trip to the Final Four here?
Pretty unforgettable. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better senior year with my best friends. Freshman year, if anyone told me we'd be doing this right now, I would have probably laughed at them and would not have believed them. So this is like a dream come true. We're heading into our last collegiate practice, and that sounds really weird to say. But we're excited to be here, and we're excited to go out with a bang. Hopefully, we'll have 2 more games, and hopefully there'll be 2 more wins. We'll see.
Yeah, to think that I was a punky freshman 4 years ago, and now I'm here at the national tournament in cheese country, being treated like a princess and going to practice at this amazing facility and playing basketball with elementary school kids and being able to meet them and their parents, and just representing my school with my family. My basketball team is my family. And this has just been an unforgettable experience, and I'll remember this for the rest of my life. And I just want to thank you, Coach, and everyone else that helped to get us here. So go Whitman.
With that, ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Best of luck.